whatever is required to ensure that these projects are done. Because Aba is a business city. If you don't have access to good roads, your businesses will not work. It doesn't take too much. You don't need intuition to know that if you do not walk on that Obohi road that leads to Ikotepede, we will not have people from Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and other neighboring communities come here and do business with people selling goods here in Aba. It doesn't also require deep intuition to know that the road that takes us from Aba to Port Harcourt, if it's not motorable, that people from River State, Bayelsa, Delta, and other neighboring communities will not come here and do business. And so what we would do is to try and encourage to pursue, because as far as I'm concerned, government does what government does, but it's the responsibility rests on the shoulder of those architects, those players within government that will pursue to ensure that these things are done in due course and in due time. So that we will pursue. And of course, another thing that we will do, because we've noticed that a lot of our young men and women are not skilled. I've always said this and it bothers me. Young men and women will wake up in the morning and you see them in beer parlors, sitting down, drinking and conversating on who has what, who has money and who doesn't, and who has done well and who hasn't. It wasn't so before. Aba has always been known for its dexterity. Aba and its environs, especially the young ones, the youths, have always been dexterous. Using their hands to make things, to make shoes, to make boots, to make furniture, to make curtains, to make clothes. Basically, anything that can be done with the hands. You come here, you find people that can make the best of the best. So what we would try and do is to re-engage them, reintroduce that system, that our Igbo apprenticeship system that has also been employed by the Harvard Business School. This is a system that really helped the Igbo nation rebuild itself after the war in 1970. A system that I believe is beginning to lose momentum because everybody wants to get rich quick. So we will begin to re-emphasize and reintroduce this system within our community where people can be employed by maybe a relative or someone who is a business person, and engage them, teach them how to do whatever business that it is that the person that has employed them is into, and tutor them, and then eventually they will now build their own mastery of whatever it is that person is doing, and then pick up from there. And when that is done, we will also do our very best to bring in investors, people that purchase some of our products, people that might be interested in buying our products, people that come from different countries, maybe African countries, or even foreign countries. Like I have mentioned here, that our people are quite dexterous, they are good in the works of their hands, they are good with making things. And there are many countries, many African countries where these things are deficient. So we take some of our products, showcase them in all these places, and see how we can build some type of trade relations where people from Cameroon, I remember it used to be like this in the 80s, people from Cameroon, people from Equatorial Guinea can come here and buy goods here because labor is cheap here. And if labor is cheap here, it will definitely reflect on the price of that product. These are the little things that might not necessarily be within the purview a member of House of Reps. But these are things that I, as a business person, understand must be done for our people to prosper. Aba is a business community. Aba is a business city. And I'm a businessman. And I understand, to a reasonable degree, the pulse of every business person because, we trade. We buy a product for 3 naira, we sell it for 3 naira 50 kobo. It's what we do. We also know the challenges that businessmen encounter when they are about to do business, when they are engaging in any business. The challenges of sourcing forex for for Nigeria that is still importing a lot of things. The challenges of sourcing forex, the challenge of traveling, buying your goods, shipping it down, bringing it in, and then eventually selling it. We also understand the taxation challenges that businessmen encounter. It is our responsibility, it's my responsibility as a business person to see that these things are made easy for businesses to thrive. Oftentimes, you see countries, different nations, encouraging people to come and do business in those countries, and then giving tax cuts, basically doing whatever it is that may help to encourage investors to come into that city or into that country to do business. Those are the things that we will target. We also, on the part of education, we know that a lot of people are not so interested in. There's a popular, assertion these days, which is, I believe, very, very dangerous. That you don't have to go to school to be successful. To a reasonable degree, this may be considered true, but we're talking about maybe 0.01% of a vast population that have been able to do well without going to school. And I also own a foundation, Ifeanyi Ikwecheghi Foundation. I have over, both Abians and non-Abians, over 200 students that we are paying their school fees. And we've been doing this for years now, for at least more than half a decade that we've been carrying these children. But of course, there's a limit to what a businessman can do, and there's also a limit to what you can spend. But if we're able to get into power, and then we look at some of these foreign organizations, we bring them, invite them, possibly get the special students. I've seen a young man from Ahafia who made a transformer-like object that can generate electricity. Those are special kids. I've seen another young man who built like a paper plane that actually can take off from the ground. These are the Mark Zuckerbergs that we have here. But because they are not encouraged, because nobody inspires them to keep going, you see these talents, most of these talents will become wasted, and then you see some of them now becoming keke riders and Okada riders, and that's a problem. So these are the little things that we intend to do. Then on having our people skilled, we intend to pursue extensively the area of having people skilled in different things. Instead of sitting down and drinking in Boroko and screaming, "Your child will wait, they do wait, no possible wait." We intend to really bring in people that can begin to tutor people on how to make different things. Young men can learn how to make these things. Young men can learn how to make paint. Young men can learn how to do plumbing. Young men can learn how to assemble and disassemble laptops. That's the future. Young men can learn how to do coding. Young men can learn how to trade online. You can buy things from Amazon and sell on eBay. Young men can learn how to just buy and sell Bitcoin online and make $20, $30, $30 a day. But the enthusiasm to learn these things have to be there. Then again, someone has to bring these things to their knowledge. If you're able to propose these things and show them how to do these things, there are whiz kids. There are people that are computer whiz kids that know how to, do these things, but they just need to be guided on how to really do ICT. These are the little things that we can introduce. Of course, there's a limit to what a member of the House of Reps can do because you don't have access to allocation. So there are conventional and unconventional things that we can do to add value here in Aba. In terms of access, I really do not think there's anybody that is running for election that is out there the most. That I can say that people have access to him more than they do with me. My number is a number that everybody has. Most times when I meet people, I tell everyone to bring out their phones and I call up my number. Everybody has access to my number. This is my home. This is where I live. Most times my children are here. And, it's always right, especially with the situation in the country as regards to insecurity, to know who is coming. But if you go to my office today, I'm there, I'm not there, you see over 300 people waiting. And we do our best to at least see every person that comes to meet with me. I'm not the contemporary traditional politician. They are the traditional politician that that will make promises and tell you, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman that is into business, that is not into politics. But part of the reasons why we decided to come now and do this politics of a thing is because we have seen that some of us that have built experience in the public sector and also in the private sector, because I used to be a local government chairman, and the private sector, knowing that the type of brain that is required now is that which understands that you cannot borrow money from the bank, maybe as a governor or as a local government chairman or as a president, and use it and build stadium that is not going to generate money for the state or for the country or for the people. We need some type of to deploy some type of business mindset that will allow you to understand that, okay, this thing has to be looked at from a business perspective where we can invest money and generate money. We invest money, we create jobs, we generate money. We invest money, we create more jobs, we generate money for ourselves, and then our people are comfortable. So you need that type of intellect to be invested in the public sector. We are where we are because most of the people that are in the helm of affairs, the architects of our polity, do not understand what it means to really administer government. And people make examples about someone like P2B because P2B is someone that is a businessman. He understands business, he understands economics. And he understands that as a business person, this is what you need to do for you to make more money as a government. And if you make more money, then people will prosper more. If you're able to ascertain these things and do these things, people will do well. Lived here, started earning money here, served as a local government chairman here, If I were living in America, I would have probably been a citizen of the United States, and it would be my God-given right to run for even president of the United States, if that were to be my prerogative. So the whole Aba thing, being an indigenous of Aba, is like we are dealing with this situation of our brothers from the north believing that they are the only ones that deserve to govern Nigeria. And I always try to talk to people for us to look beyond where we are from, as long as we're eligible to run for office in that particular constituency. Let us look beyond. If, say, Isialangwa was as developed as Aba, and then you have residents of that place come from different other places, it's their God-given right to run for office. Most of the people that have been here holding this House of Reps position are non-indigens, because you have like 80% of the entire population of Aba as non-indigens. And most of them have done well. OC Prestige that just passed away. It's not originally from Aba. OC Prestige is not originally from Aba, but he came here and he did well. But when I served as local government chairman, I'm not an indigenous of Aba, but all the things that were built there were done during my administration. So I think Nigeria, let me just even compress what I'm about to say to just Aba. I think Aba has gone beyond that whole arrangement of just dealing with indigens, because we have Anambarians here, we have Imolites here, we have the Old Bende block, and then we have even Akwa Ibomites here, we have people from the north, we have the Yoruba community here, so we're all here. And if anything goes wrong here, it affects everyone that lives here. So we are advocating seriously, vehemently, that we should look for those that we believe can make a difference, regardless of where they are from, for them to hold sway for us and govern wherever they can. Well, since 2010 that my tenure as local government chairman expired, I have not bought one form to run for any political office except this one that I just bought. So in 2010, when I left, 2012, I came, started doing philanthropy. They said, he's preparing to run for office in 2015. We know them. That's the way they behave. 2015 came, went. I didn't come out to run for office. Rather, I came back and supported those that I felt were going to do well. And I spent money and I left, because this is my state. I mean, it's the right thing to do. 2016, I built a school. I donated, renovated a NEPA cash office that my father built many years ago in my community. Donated. Everybody said, he's preparing for 2019. We know that. I gave out scholarships. They said, the man is just preparing for 2019. 2019 came and went, and we didn't run for any office. 2020, we started, during the COVID period, we started giving out things, we started doing things for people. They said, the man is preparing for 2023. Quite frankly, as we were doing those things, people were reaching out to us, say, come and run for office. As a matter of fact, let me even make this public. I was having conversations with late OC Prestige about this particular constituency before he passed. And it has been, I personally have been ambivalent about coming back to politics, because I resigned from politics. Nobody chased me away from politics. Nobody made me to stop doing politics. I literally woke up one morning and said, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I was doing very well as a local government chairman. I did very well here. It was quite popular. My conspicuous nature has also been a factor that has helped me politically. But I chose to get into the private sector because it's convenient. It's, you do politics and you want to die here if you don't have means of subsistence. But as someone who has something doing, who has businesses, things, other means of, making money. I've not been in politics. I've just been a businessman. But this is a propaganda perpetuated by people that do not have anything bad or negative to say. And they will say, oh, he's a 4-year politician. Yes, in 2020, when O.C. Prestige passed away, late 2020, I romanced the idea of running for this office because him and I was having that conversation. Yes, back then I was a PDP. We had that idea to run, but in one glance, the governor then, because he was the governor, of course, the leader of PDP, said I should step down. I didn't argue with him, and I stepped down and I took money I gave to the person that was brought forth as a consensus candidate to run for the office. And I supported the person, and I did so because it was said that a core indigene of Aba had not run for this office before. And to a reasonable degree, I looked at it and said, well, maybe they are right. The core indigene of Aba hadn't run for the office before, and we decided to support that indigene to go. Eventually, that indigene has gone, and we have seen how the indigene has performed. And that is why some of us have decided now to come in and run for this office, because we know that we can do better. Like I always tell people, if you're going for a football match, you go with your first 11. You go with those that are educated. You go with those that are exposed. You go with those that understand how to create wealth. Aba is a business city, I believe, as it is generally said. Aba is a business community. Is it not right that you have a businessman that has done business and excelled in business to go and speak for the people of Aba? I was in PDP. Remember, as a local government chairman back then, most of these guys that are in government now are people that I had known. So when I decided to come back and play politics, I identified with them in 2018/19. That I started, breathing that idea of coming back to politics. So I, of course, identified with, my friend who happened to be the governor. And the right thing I felt that we were supposed to do was to support him. Like I always tell people, let us pray for our leaders, let us support them. I sat down with him, I had conversations with him, and he sort of opened up to me on the things that he wanted to do, and asked that some of us should also help to propound ideas and means that can help for our state to move forward. Of course, he's the governor, he just won his election in 2019. So we started coming up with ideas. I remember one time we brought some people from South Africa, some big investors that wanted to do a mall here. We brought that for some reason didn't work out because the people were really ready to come in and do business, but people were more concerned about collecting stipends from them. After some time, we decided to do a mini city somewhere around Osisioma. I also brought to do those projects. To do that project, we came here. We were asked to pay for different things, which we did. We did a whole lot, but eventually that didn't also happen. So a few roads we saw were picked up, like Fox Road. The government, this administration started Fox Road. I grew up in Fox Road. I grew up in Omole. So, it made me, I'm passionate about that project because, that's where I grew up, and I know, I still remember back not too long ago if you're crossing Amikon, you pay somebody money and they'll carry you, carry you behind and, cross you over to the other side of the road because, those areas were bad. So we tried to encourage the governor. Back then, we also saw it's popularly now known as Santa Table, which was the flyover. So I actually thought that the administration had like a plan, had a vision, knew where they were going. But after some time, we started seeing the vilification of people that are not from here. You're from here. You come from here. You're not from here. Therefore, you are not to be trusted. You're not to be a part of what is happening. You are ostracized, isolated. Different things just started playing out. And we understand that for a community to move forward, for people to move forward, you guys need to be together. You guys don't need to be divided. You guys need to work as a team. And we all need to be compassionate towards one another. We need to show empathy. We need to be kind to one another. But if you continue to divide people and vilify people, we don't grow. You can see that our state is more divided than ever. So these are the things that we saw, and we felt, okay, let us go to a party that believes in unity. Our slogan is Nka Kai, that believes in bringing people together. A party that fielded someone like O.C. Prestige, a party that was, to a reasonable degree, conceived by our leader, Chief Ojukwu. So we thought, okay, let us go to a party that is all-inclusive and see how we can begin to fix the damage that has been caused already, socially and economically. Now, it is imperative to state that a local government chairman does not have such powers to take funds that belong to the people and put in his pocket. A local government chairman does not have immunity. A local government chairman does not work in isolation. You have, let me explain a little how the local government system works. You have the Commissioner of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, who represents the governor, who sort of administers the entire activity of the local governments, of all the local governments in the state. And then you have the PAMSEC of that same local government and chieftaincy affairs. Then you have a director of that same local government and chieftaincy affairs. These are the three cardinal officers that, to a reasonable degree, spearhead and sort of outline how things are done. Then you have ALGON. ALGON is like a body that governs the local government system. And then you now have that ALGON, then you now have local government chairman. Then you now have local government chairman, then you have a head of service who is a civil servant, like a chief civil servant. And then you have a treasurer who sort of administers the finances of the local government system. Then you have the cashier, and then you have the heads of department. These are principal officers of the local government system. This is from the civil service side. Then you now have your councillors. Then you have supervisors. These are all sensitive principal office holders within the local government. All these players will not sit around and you take money that belongs to the people and put in your pocket. Even as I speak to you today, the Constitution of Nigeria still remains the same. You cannot receive funds from the local government, take that funds, put a gun in the head of the cashier, the head of service, and tell them, give me this money, and they'll give it to you, and you set off, leave for the sunset. It doesn't work like that. During our time, we had situations where because of the, global economic crisis when I was local government chairman. There was a time there was an oil boom, and we received funds from the federal government that helped us. That was how we were able to build all those things you saw us build at local government. We did the roads, we did GOP Road, we did a health center at Omogo, we renovated the entire local government council, built the story building you saw there, asphalted the local government, port generators put in there, and began to change the psychology of our civil servants, because most of them didn't believe in themselves, most of them didn't know what to do. We started to alter the brain, the psychology of these people, because they say for you to change and grow, you must change internally. We started doing these things, and it was working, and the local government system was really moving before we encountered the global economic crisis in 2008, late 2008. And when that happened, it affected every local government in the state, if not in the country. We started getting, I remember back then, sometimes we get 4 million naira allocation. 4 million naira allocation to pay a wage bill of 20-something million. It was a problem. So we started intensifying efforts to see how we can, boost our IGR, but that also didn't work. So we had to call all the traditional rulers in the local government. We called the players in the local government, and we told them, this is what we are getting. What do? We couldn't really come up with any solid solution. Usually, if that happens in the private sector, in the business setting, what you do is you begin to cut down. For instance, Metaverse, which used to be Facebook, that is owned by Mark Zuckerberg, is beginning to lose money. Their shares have gone to $380-something to about $100 and something, and it's still dropping. I know these things because I own shares in that company. And Metaverse has already dropped 13% of their staff. We considered doing that. Then again, we didn't want to do that because, I didn't employ them. And I didn't think it was right for me to be the one that will fire the staff. So what we now did was to try and reach out to the then governor of the state to see how he can help and provide some type of financial succor. Well, he told us back then that we were executive chairman, and as executive chairman, that it would be difficult for him to pull funds from other local governments to sort Abanot out, because we're getting 4 million. We'll get 4 million, we'll get 9 million, we'll get 11 million to pay 20-something million. And these were just civil servants and not political office holders. But there were local governments that were getting, as Abanot was getting 4 million, there were local governments that were getting 50 million, 60 million. So it was a problem. So we searched and searched to try and find out why this was a problem, and we found out that Aba, because it's located in the metropolis, so many senior civil servants were also here. Senior teachers were here, and most of those funds were paid directly, salaries were paid directly from source. And as they were paying those salaries, those senior civil servants, because the rural areas house just lower level civil servants, while Abanot and South, most of the big heads were living here. So most of those salaries were paid from source directly, but through the Chieftaincy Affairs Ministry. So we were told that we were not going to be able to do anything about it. So we tried to increase the revenue. We increased the revenue to a reasonable degree. So we're using sometimes 1 month allocation plus the revenue we'll generate to pay half salary, and the next month we'll take what we have and pay half salary. So when I came in, I met, I think, 6 months salary, and we managed it, 7 months salary, and we managed it to about 9 months before we left for 2 years with the economic crisis. So we boost the IGR that we were receiving from what it used to be, we boosted it to about 40%, and that helped us. Or else there would have been serious anarchy in the council back then. So there is no local government chairman that can sit on funds, put funds in his pocket. I don't even know if governors can do that. But from afar, if you're sitting in a beer parlor where people are drinking, they'll tell you, oh, the man took money and they will believe it. But the truth is that constitutionally, if you do it, you'll be in jail. And I never slept in jail. I never went to jail. I was never arrested. All the checks that we were getting, I would bring out those checks. I'll call the traditional rulers. I'll call the principal officers. And I'll most times photocopy those checks and put them at the notice board for people to see. So there was no such thing as misappropriation of funds. Yes, we did do one or two shop construction in Arera as requested by the market. Usually before you construct anything, you call the leadership of the market. There are what we call line chairmen. There are zonal line chairmen. You call them and you ask them, okay, is this something you people want us to do? And they will say yes, or they will say no. And if they say yes, you now say, okay, fine. Then you now get those that handle the technical side of this construction, the engineers, the people that have access to the master plan, to make sure that whatever you're constructing or building is in tandem with what is supposed to be done. Then when that is done, you figure these things out, and then you resolve if you're to build or not to build. When I was local government chairman, most of the construction that we did was in Orata, because we had just recently moved the people that sell wood from Ariaria to Orata. So what we did was to try to expand Orata, make it habitable, make it usable, and also to open up that place so that people that own property within those areas will have their property add value. So we concentrated more on Orata and not Ariaria. So the story of Ariaria is a little new to me. I remember there was a park. I think that park that was the park that is close to where the people that were selling goods were. Those were the places that we tried to do like slabs inside the park so that the park can be used. And of course, if you do slabs inside the park, you need to build shops where mama put people can sell, transporters can have their offices to trade. Those were the construction that we did back then. So I guess this is another propaganda that has been deployed to discredit Chief Ifeanyi Ikwecheghi.